A few years ago, an employer found my portfolio website and hired me as a data analyst intern. I've now made a career transition and I'm working as a full-time data scientist. This is the portfolio website that got me hired. I have this about section describing myself, a project section showcasing some of my work, and a section displaying some of my skills and certifications. Back when I was starting out, I had to learn 2 front-end web development languages to build this website. I had to learn HTML and CSS. It took me a few weeks, but now you can build a website like this with ChatGPT in less than 30 minutes, at no cost, without any knowledge of web development or coding. And that is exactly what I'm going to teach you how to do in this video. By the end of this video, you would have built a portfolio website that looks almost exactly like the one I'm showing you here. Whether you want to pursue a career in data science, data analytics, or any field in the data industry, a portfolio website is crucial in landing your first job and getting your foot in the door. And that's exactly what I will be showing you how to build in this video. Also, you might have noticed that this video is like 40 minutes long, and that's because I will be teaching you to do so much more than just building a portfolio website. Here's what you'll also learn after watching this video. 1. Building a portfolio website that actually gets you opportunities. Your portfolio website is your brand. This is your sales pitch to people who have never met you before. How do you make sure that employers find your portfolio website in the first place? And once they find it, how do you make sure that they reach out to you instead of clicking away and finding a different person to do the job? These are things that no data science course will teach you. They're related to SEO, marketing, and sales. And if done right, they can dramatically improve the chances of other people finding you and reaching out to you. And more eyeballs will always translate into more jobs and more opportunities. 2. You'll learn prompt engineering with ChatGPT. I've included a free 5-minute prompt engineering crash course into this video where I'll be teaching you 2 prompting techniques that will 10x your responses from any Gen AI model. Have you ever gone to ChatGPT and asked it to do something and then felt, well, that was absolutely useless. That is not what I asked it to do in the first place. The process of prompting ChatGPT to accomplish something only gets harder as the task gets more complex. So if you're trying to build out an entire website with ChatGPT and you don't use the right prompting techniques, you'll get nowhere. As you've probably already heard, garbage in equals garbage out. The prompting techniques that I'll be teaching you in this video can be used in all of your future interactions with ChatGPT, and it can be used to build any end product, not just a portfolio website. Now, a portfolio website can only help you if you already have the skills necessary to get a job in the field. If you still feel like you're a complete beginner, if you don't know things like Python, SQL, and data visualization, then I suggest taking this course offered by CourseCareers. I came into this field after spending $30,000 on a computer science degree. And if I could go back and do it all over again, I would skip the degree, save my time and money, and instead learn everything I need to online. Now, I know that there are many online platforms offering data analytics courses, but here's what I really like about CourseCareers. They don't just teach you the skills that you need to know through an online course and then let you go afterwards. They also offer unlimited mentorship from people who actually have jobs in the field. Now, you tell me what sounds better. A $30,000 college degree, learning from people who have never worked in the field for a single day in their lives, versus an online course at the fraction of the price, learning from people who actually have the jobs that you want. I would choose the latter any day. 2. CourseCareers has a network of employers who are willing to interview and hire the top students who graduate from the course, which is a huge advantage because it helps get your foot in the door. So if you're interested, you can sign up using the link in my description. They also have this free introductory course that teaches beginners how to break into the data analytics field. So if you're not ready to pay for this just yet, you can still learn a lot by just signing up for free. As promised, let's begin with our 5-minute prompt engineering crash course. Prompt engineering is the process of creating and optimizing prompts for generative AI models. And this is crucial when working with a model like ChatGPT. Because if you provide a prompt that isn't clear, and if you don't use the right prompting techniques, then you're not going to get your desired result. For example, if you go into ChatGPT and type something vague like, Hey ChatGPT, help me build a data science portfolio website with the following sections. I want to see home, about, projects, and skills. Here's what it comes up with. And this is bad. It is poorly structured, badly designed, and if a person comes across it, they're probably going to click away. And that's because you cannot directly ask ChatGPT to perform a huge task all at once, like building an entire website. It simply won't work. Also, ChatGPT isn't great at coming up with design ideas or at innovating. You need to be really specific about the kind of outcome that you want. So here are 2 prompting techniques that you can use when building a website with ChatGPT. The first technique is called sequential prompting. This is really simple. So when you're getting ChatGPT to build out a website, instead of asking it to create the entire website at once, you break it down and ask it to build each section one by one. So you first get it to build out the home section, followed by the about section, the services section, and so on. It's just like if you were building a coding project. You would get overwhelmed if you had to write out all the code at once, right? So instead, you break the project down into smaller chunks and you work on each part one by one. It's the same with generative AI models. You've got to break the task down into smaller, more manageable components and allow the AI to work on one aspect at a time. The second prompting technique is called one-shot prompting. One-shot prompting involves providing the AI with an example of what you want the end result to look like. For example, instead of just saying, build the about section of my website, you provide ChatGPT with an example of what you'd like that about section to look like. You can upload a sketch, a mock-up, or even take a screenshot of another website that you like and upload it to ChatGPT. This is a better approach than simply providing ChatGPT with a text prompt, because with a visual, ChatGPT can see the desired outcome. You know how sometimes you go to ChatGPT and ask it to build something and it provides you with an entirely different result? That is far more likely to happen when you're building an entire website with so many visual elements in it. Uploading a picture or a sketch removes any kind of ambiguity and directly conveys the requirements to ChatGPT. Unfortunately, as of now, the image upload feature is only available to ChatGPT Plus subscribers, which means that if you're not subscribed to ChatGPT Plus, you won't be able to upload an image and use that to build a website. But if you don't have a paid subscription to ChatGPT, don't worry. I'll be giving you a free alternative text prompt that you can type into ChatGPT instead of uploading an image. You can find all of the prompts that we'll be using in this video in this document. And you can find this document in the link in my description under the section titled Video Resources. Now, in this document, I've provided you with 2 prompt variations, one for ChatGPT Plus and another for the free version of ChatGPT. If you're using ChatGPT Plus, I've provided you with a prompt as well as an image accompanying each prompt. You've got to upload this image to ChatGPT as part of your prompt. You can either copy and paste the image from here, or you can download it using the link provided. If you're using the free prompt variation, then all you need to do is copy and paste the prompt. There's no image upload needed. I recommend downloading this file before you follow along to the rest of this video. This way, you can simply copy and paste the prompts as I show them on the screen instead of having to manually type them out yourself each time. As I said earlier in this video, we'll be using HTML and CSS to build this website, and we will do it in a way that doesn't require you to have any coding experience. So even if you don't know how to write a single line of HTML or CSS code, you can still build a website that looks like this simply by copying and pasting ChatGPT generated code. And before we go ahead and actually build out the website, I am going to do these 3 things. First, I'll give you a brief explanation of HTML and CSS just to build a foundation before we go ahead and actually use these languages to create the website. Second, I'll show you how to set up your coding environment. This can be using Notepad, Visual Studio Code, or any text editor. And finally, I'll show you how to organize your folder structure, because this will save you a ton of time when building the website. Now, the reason I'm going through all of these steps is to help those of you who have never run an HTML file in your browser before. I don't want you to be completely lost, which is why I'm taking you through the entire thing from scratch. However, if you know some HTML and CSS, if you know how to run an HTML file in your browser and you know how to use a text editor, please skip this section and go straight to the next one. Jump to the section titled Building a Portfolio Website with ChatGPT, because that's where we'll actually start creating the site. Okay, let's talk about HTML and CSS. These are two languages that make up every single website that you see on the internet. Remember, we will get ChatGPT to generate HTML and CSS code, and we will copy and paste this code to build the website. HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language. This makes up the structure or the skeleton of any website that you see on the internet. For example, take this website. You can see links, headings, paragraphs, images. All of this is made possible using HTML. This is what HTML code looks like. HTML code is made up of tags. Tags are like commands. They tell the browser how to display information on the website. For example, if you're writing a paragraph, the paragraph will start with a P tag and it ends with a tag that says /P, which looks like this. Similarly, the entire HTML document starts with an HTML tag and ends with a /HTML tag. All of your website's content is enclosed in between these two tags. And then you have a head section where you specify your website's title and resolution. After the head section closes, the body tag starts. This is where your website's content goes, such as your links, paragraphs, and images. You can visualize an HTML document like a tree. So at the top of the tree, you have an HTML tag. And then you have the head and the body. Under the head, you have a title. Under the body, you have things like paragraphs, images, links, and a bunch of other tags that we will not be going into in this video. If this is a lot of information to take in at once, don't worry. You don't really need to know all of this because we'll just be copying and pasting a bunch of this code from ChatGPT. For now, I just want you to remember two things. One, HTML documents are made up of tags. Two, the entire document starts and ends with an HTML tag. Now, let's talk about CSS. CSS stands for Cascading Style Sheets. It is used to style the website using different designs, colors, and fonts. I like to think of HTML as the framework of a house, its skeleton or structure, and I like to think of CSS as the furniture and the paint. It is the design element. For example, look at this website. The way the images are aligned, the colors and the spacing between paragraphs, all of this is made possible using CSS. In this tutorial, we will be writing all of our CSS code within this HTML document. So all of the code that you see here after the style tag is CSS code. It's not HTML. CSS code will be enclosed between an open and closing style tag. This code is being used to set up things like fonts, colors, and image dimensions. To summarize, here's what you need to know about HTML and CSS. HTML is used to build out the structure of the website. This is where all of your website's content will go, like your text, images, and links. And CSS is used to style the website. In this case, we will be including all of our CSS into our HTML document, and we will enclose it between this style tag. Now, don't worry too much because we won't actually be writing out any of this code ourselves. We will just be copying and pasting it and following the instructions generated by ChatGPT. Now that you understand how HTML and CSS work, how do you actually write and run this code? The answer is any text editor. You can use Atom, Sublime Text, Notepad. I personally am using Visual Studio Code. If you don't already have any of these text editors, then I recommend installing one of them. To install Visual Studio Code, you can go to code.visualstudiocode.com, download the stable build, and follow all of the instructions that you see on the screen. And then you can come back to this video. I've also left a more detailed guide on how to install Visual Studio Code in my description, so check that out if you need to. After you've installed your text editor, you need to create your HTML document for this project. To do this, open your text editor, select File, and create a new file. Then save this file as index.html. Make sure to use the .html extension so that the browser knows that this is an HTML file. And this is the file that we will be using to write all of our HTML and CSS code to create the website. Finally, before we go ahead and build out the website, you've got to set up your folder structure. You need to organize all of the files that we'll be using to build the website, including the images and the HTML document. So you have two options to do this. The first is I have provided my entire project folder on GitHub. You can find a link to it in my description. I've also included it to the screen here. So you can download my project folder and you'll have the entire structure ready to go. Otherwise, you can set this up manually on your own. So if you prefer to create this folder structure on your own, then here's how you should do it. First, your project folder should contain the index.html file that we just created. In the same directory, create a folder called images. This folder will have all of the images that will be used to build our website. Inside this images folder, you've got to create 3 subfolders: about, projects, and skills. Each of these subfolders will contain images that are relevant to their sections on the website. For example, in the About section, add an image of yourself. For the Project section, include about 4 to 5 images that are relevant to projects that you have worked on. Similarly, in the Skills section, add another 4 to 5 images of skills that you have. For instance, you can add a Python logo if you're proficient in Python. You can add an SQL logo, or you can also include images of certifications that you have worked on. Finally, create a folder labeled icons. Here, we will include social media contact icons that are relevant to the Contact Me section of your website. Your final project folder should be structured like this. Okay, now that you have set up your project folder, either by downloading mine on GitHub or by creating your own, we can finally go ahead and start building the portfolio website. Now, before we go ahead and build out the website, we're going to do one more thing. We're going to set something known as custom instructions. What are custom instructions? This is a ChatGPT feature that lets you go in and enter a bunch of information and give ChatGPT a bunch of instructions once, just one time. And ChatGPT will remember all of this information about you in every single future conversation. For example, if I go to custom instructions and say, bark like a dog every time you greet me, ChatGPT is going to start all of our future conversations by saying woof. And you can take this further by giving it some background information about yourself or by telling it your preferred response style. Custom instructions can 10x the quality of responses that you get from ChatGPT. It can dramatically improve the accuracy and relevance of your output. And I'm going to show you how. To access custom instructions, you first need to go to ChatGPT and then select your profile at the bottom left corner of the screen. Choose Customize ChatGPT and you should see 2 fields that look like this. The first custom instructions field is asking about you. What personal details would you like ChatGPT to remember in all of your future conversations? Things like your name, likes, dislikes, occupation, whatever. We're going to leave this field blank for now. The second field is asking about your preferred response style. How would you like ChatGPT to respond in all of your conversations? This is where the magic happens. Remember that ChatGPT's output is only as good as how you prompt it. When I didn't prompt it well, ChatGPT came up with this horrible looking website. So to make sure that ChatGPT comes up with a website that aligns with our requirements, we're going to give it a framework to follow. And through custom instructions, we will get it to use this framework every single time it builds a portfolio website. Here's the custom instruction that we will be entering into ChatGPT. Now make sure to paste this custom instruction in the preferred response style field, which is the second field in the custom instructions box. As I mentioned earlier in this video, you can find all of the prompts, including this custom instruction prompt, in the document in my description. It's in the section titled Video Resources. So make sure that you have the document open and that you're copying and pasting the prompts from there instead of typing it out by hand. Once you've entered these custom instructions, every time you go to ChatGPT and ask it to build a website, it's going to follow these instructions. And I know that this seems really long and complicated, but I'm going to break it down for you. With the first custom instruction, we're telling ChatGPT, give us HTML and CSS code every time we ask you to build a website, which is simple enough. Secondly, we're asking it to use Bootstrap to build this website. Bootstrap is a popular web design framework that lets you create visually appealing websites. For example, let's say you wanted to build a project section on your website that looks like this. Bootstrap has an easy grid system that lets you build something like this in just a few lines of code. Bootstrap also ensures that the website will be responsive, which means that it should work on different device types like laptops, mobile phones, and tablets. Now, without going into too much detail, here's what's great about Bootstrap. With Bootstrap, ChatGPT doesn't have to generate tons of custom code. It doesn't have to write a bunch of complicated code on its own because Bootstrap has existing templates that ChatGPT can leverage. And writing less code is easier. Leveraging existing frameworks is easier, which means that ChatGPT can build a better looking website in a smaller period of time. With the third prompt, we're telling ChatGPT to give us all of the code, the HTML and the CSS in a single file. This is because I don't want you to get confused and have to switch between two separate HTML and CSS files when building the website. Finally, I'm telling ChatGPT that we are beginners to web design and that we don't know how to code in HTML and CSS. So I'm asking it to give us clear guidance as to where to copy and paste this code, as well as step-by-step instructions on how to proceed. This way, we don't have to struggle, we don't have to learn these languages ourselves, and we don't have to waste too much time debugging. Make sure to save your changes to these custom instructions and we can proceed to actually building out this website. We're going to start by creating the About section of the website, and we're first going to use ChatGPT Plus to do this. Now, I have an image over here of what I want the About section to look like. Again, you can find this image in the prompts document in my description. And this is a very simple structure. We're going to tell ChatGPT to structure our About section in the same way. So we're just going to add a picture of you, a title, and a bunch of text. You can even draw this image by hand and take a picture and upload it to ChatGPT. Here's the prompt that you'll be typing into ChatGPT alongside this image. Now this is a really simple prompt. We're just asking ChatGPT to generate HTML and CSS code to build the About section according to the uploaded image. So we're just going to upload this image to ChatGPT and we'll paste the prompt into it. So ChatGPT is automatically generating some HTML and CSS code to build out this section. Now, everything that's within this style tag in this code is CSS. It's there for design and layout, just as we learned earlier in this video. So I'm just going to wait a few seconds for this code to finish generating. Okay, so ChatGPT is giving us some explanation as to what this code does. You can read it if you'd like. I'm just going to scroll up and click on copy code. And then I'm going to head over to my index.html file and I'll paste all of this code. Once you've pasted this code, just save your changes to the file. Then go to your project folder. Double-click the index.html file to open it in a web browser. So this opens up in Google for me, and I see this nice looking About section. And this looks really good to me. I think it's very impressive. It's fascinating to see that someone who doesn't know these languages can build a decent looking web page in HTML and CSS, and that too in just like 2 minutes. If you're using the free version of ChatGPT, don't worry, I haven't forgotten about you. Here is the prompt that you will be pasting into ChatGPT. Now, just copy this prompt, paste it into ChatGPT, and the remaining steps are all the same as what I showed earlier. ChatGPT will generate some code. You've got to copy this code, paste it into your index.html file, save your changes to this file, and open it in browser. And then you should see an About section that looks like this. As I said earlier, the best way to build something with ChatGPT is to show it what you want, whether that's in the form of a diagram, a sketch, or a flowchart. And that's because ChatGPT can replicate exactly what you're looking for. This is a bit harder to do with just text because one, you've got to be really specific, and even if you're really specific, the model can still misinterpret your requirements. And that's why it's a little bit harder to build a website using the free version of ChatGPT. But don't worry, all of the prompts that I'm showing you in this video will work for you. Okay, so we now have this nice about section of our website with some placeholder text. If you haven't done so already, replace the text and image in this section with an image and description of yourself. And we're now going to go ahead and build out the next section of our portfolio website, which is projects. This is arguably the most important section of your portfolio website because this is where employers get to see all of your work in one place. This is actually the section of my portfolio website that got me my first internship in the field. Here's a mock-up that I've created for this projects section. First, we want a header that says projects, and then we need an image for each project. This image should be relevant to what your project is about, and it should be designed to capture people's attention. After that, you want to add a title and a description of each project. Make sure to keep your description brief, about 3 to 4 lines should be enough. This should tell people what your project does in a single glance. And then you need to add a link to your project's source code. So just link to your project's GitHub repository so that people can go in, look at your project's code, and play around with it. And I've included one final link, which is blog posts. And that's because I write blog posts about all of my projects, and I want people to be able to go in and read about them. This entire process is very similar to how companies do online marketing. They'll first try to capture your attention with a headline or a nice image, and then they'll slowly feed you more and more information about them until you decide to buy something. I want you to think about your portfolio website in a similar way. This is your brand. It is how you market yourself as a data scientist or a data analyst. It should spark curiosity. It should make people want to learn more about you and your work. If you've managed to get an employer, a busy person, to check out your portfolio website and read an entire article about your work, it is almost guaranteed that they're going to contact you and potentially hire you. Now, let's go ahead and build out the project section of this website. Here's a prompt that we'll be typing into ChatGPT alongside the mock-up image. With this prompt, we're asking ChatGPT to give us some code to build out the project section of the website. I've also included a few image parts here to my project images. As usual, you can change these parts if you need to. Finally, I've also asked ChatGPT to use Bootstrap's card layout. This is just a layout that's going to allow us to display the project section in a grid format. Now, if you're using the free alternative, please skip the image and paste the free alternative prompt into ChatGPT instead. I'm going to paste this prompt into ChatGPT. Regardless of whether you're using the free or paid version of ChatGPT, all of the remaining steps will be the same. So let's give it a few seconds to generate this code. Okay, so ChatGPT has given us some HTML code for the project section. And now it's generating some CSS code in a separate code block. Remember, CSS code is to style the website, and it's used to make the website visually appealing. So the HTML and CSS code are going to be pasted in 2 separate sections of the website, and I'll show you how. So now that it's done generating all of the code, I am going to scroll up, and I'm going to copy this entire block of HTML code. And ChatGPT is saying, insert this code after the closing section tag of the About section. So I'm going to go to my index.html file, and I'm going to look for the About section. Okay, this is the About section. This is the closing section tag of the About section. So I'm going to paste all of the code that I've just copied right after this closing section tag. Now, I'm going to go back to ChatGPT, and we're going to do the same thing for the CSS code. So ChatGPT is saying, paste the CSS code within the style tag below the code for the About section. So to do this, I'm going to copy this code, go to the text editor, and look for this style tag. This is the style tag. These are the styles for the About section. So I'm going to paste the CSS code for projects right below this. And then I'm going to save my changes to the file. Now I'm going to go back to my HTML document on the web browser, and I'm going to refresh it. And there you go. So we have a nice project section over here, just like we had displayed in the mockup image. And for each project, we have a title, a description, and an image. And we also have these links here to the source code and the blog posts of each project. If you want to add or remove a project, you can do so easily. So you just have to go back to your HTML code. If you like a fourth project, you can copy all of this code, duplicate it, and easily create project number 4. And you can do something similar to create projects 5, 6, 7, and so on. Now, we're going to go ahead and create the next section, which is skills. This is where we will describe the skills that we have so that potential employers can see them. Here's a mock-up structure that I've created for the skills section. And here I've included icons of skills that I have. So I've included icons of Python, data visualization, SQL, so that people can look at it and see at a glance the skills that I know. And you can also include a short description of your skills, just about 3 to 4 lines describing how you've gained these skills, relevant courses or certifications that you've taken to develop these skills, or even any relevant work experience that you might have. And finally, this is optional, you can add a link to a course or a bootcamp that has taught you these skills. For example, if you are Tableau certified, you can add a link to your Tableau certification. Here's the ChatGPT prompt that we will be including alongside the image. Now, as usual, if you're using the free version of ChatGPT, make sure to paste the free alternative prompt and skip the image. Okay, so I'm going to copy and paste this prompt into ChatGPT. And ChatGPT is generating some HTML code, which will take a few seconds. And now it's generating some CSS code. So it's done generating all of the code. I am just going to scroll up and I'm first going to copy and paste the HTML code. And ChatGPT is saying, insert the HTML directly after the closing section tag of the project section. So I'm going to copy this entire block of code and I'm going to go to my index.html file. This is the HTML code for the project section. So I'm going to paste the code for the skills section right below it. Now I'm going to go back to ChatGPT to get the CSS code. Make sure to paste your CSS code in between the style tags of your document. Okay, so I'm going to copy the CSS code from here. And then I'm going to my text editor and I'm going to paste it below all of my existing styles. Make sure to paste it right before the closing style tag. Also, the code that you get might be different from mine, so make sure to follow all of ChatGPT's instructions when you're pasting it. If you ever get confused, you can always go back to ChatGPT and reconfirm where you're supposed to be pasting this. Now, once you're done, save your changes to the document, and then go to your HTML web page and refresh it. You should see a nice looking skills section that looks like this. For now, it has placeholder text, but we can change that later on. It also has these buttons, and you can have them linked to a course or a certification if you want to. If you click on them now, they won't do anything. You have to link them to a specific URL. To do this, you can just go to your HTML code, go to the skills section, and find the attribute that says href. And you can replace this hashtag symbol over here with a URL to your course or your certification. Let's now build out a contact section for this website. Here's where we will include our phone numbers and email addresses so that employers can easily get in touch with us for opportunities. This is a structure that I've created for the contact section of the website. Apart from a phone number and an email address, I've also included links to some of my socials, things like Medium, LinkedIn, and GitHub. This way, an employer can look at all of my work in all of these different platforms in one single place. For example, if they want to look through my code, they can go to GitHub. Or if they want to look at my employment history, they can find me on LinkedIn. You want to make it as easy as possible for other people to contact you. The worst thing that you can do for your career is have someone struggle to find you, because this is a competitive field. So if someone is interested in your work right now and they're finding it difficult to get in touch with you, guess what? They're going to move on. If another person has done similar work, and if they're easier to get in touch with and respond faster, they'll win. They're gonna get the opportunity. And that is why I have covered all of my bases here. I have included links to almost all of my social media platforms. Okay, so now that I've hopefully convinced you about the importance of creating a good Contact Me section, we're gonna go ahead and actually build it out with ChatGPT. Here's a prompt that we're gonna enter into ChatGPT. Now, as usual, I have included paths to my icons of LinkedIn, Twitter, GitHub, and all of these other social media platforms. If these image paths are different for you, please make sure to change them. Also, if you want the website to look different from mine, or if you want the Contact Me section to look different, you can just take a piece of paper, sketch out what you want it to look like, and upload it to ChatGPT. We can now copy and paste the image and the prompt into ChatGPT. Again, if you're using the free version, just copy and paste the free prompt. Okay. So again, it's generating some HTML code. And a separate block of CSS code. So I'm going to scroll up and copy the HTML code. And then I'm going to open the index.html file and paste it right below the skills section. And then I'm going to go back to ChatGPT. I'm going to copy all of the CSS code and scroll to the top of my HTML file. I'm going to paste it right below all of my existing CSS just before the closing style tag. So after you've copied and pasted this code, just save changes to your HTML file. And then go to your HTML web page, refresh it, and you should see a contact section appear which looks just like this. And here you will see an email address, a phone number, as well as relevant icons to your social media profiles. Again, you've got to redirect these icons to their relevant social media handles like your Twitter or LinkedIn URL. To do this, just go to your HTML code, navigate to the Contact Me section, and change all of the URLs in this href attribute. The final section that we will be building is the navigation bar. These are bars that you usually see at the top of websites, and they'll have links that redirect to relevant sections of the website. In this case, we're going to ask ChatGPT to build a navigation bar that redirects to Home, About, Projects, Skills, and Contact. And clicking on any of these links should redirect the user to the relevant section of the website. We're not going to include any mock-up images in this section. We will just be typing a text prompt. So whether you're using the free or paid version of ChatGPT, this is the prompt that you will be entering into ChatGPT. So I'm going to copy and paste this prompt. And as usual, ChatGPT is first giving us some HTML code. And now it's giving us some CSS code. So you can copy and paste the HTML anywhere in the body of your text editor. And I'm just going to copy and paste it here right after my contact section. Now I'm going to go back to ChatGPT. I'm going to copy the CSS code. And I'm going to paste it within the style tag. Finally, ChatGPT is saying, add a corresponding ID that matches this navigation bar in each section of the website. This just means that for the About section, you've got to go in and type ID equals About, just like shown here. And you have to do the same thing for every other section. So I'm just going to go back to the text editor, find the About section, and I'm going to type ID equals About. Now go ahead and do the same thing for all of the other sections. Okay, once you're done, scroll to the nav bar section and ensure that all of the href attributes here align with the IDs that you've just typed in. Now save your changes, go back to the HTML file and refresh it. You should see a navigation bar like this appear at the top of the screen. And in this navigation bar, each link that you click on should redirect you to the relevant sections of the web page. And that is it. If you've managed to follow along this far, congratulations. Give yourself a pat on the back. Not many people would have made it this far, but you did, so great job. Now, your website probably still has a bunch of placeholder text and images. You've got to replace this with your own. Also, try to customize the website a bit more. What happens if you try to add or remove a project or a skill? You can get ChatGPT to help you with this. Now that you have a base framework, it won't be too hard to customize it and build on top of it. I am giving you homework. These are actionable next steps that you can take right after watching this video. I do this to hold you accountable because just building a portfolio website isn't enough. If nobody sees your website, you're not going to get anywhere. So your end goal is to make sure that other people find your website on the internet and reach out to you with jobs and opportunities because of it. And I'm going to help you do that. Your first homework task is to deploy your portfolio website. This way, you will have a shareable link to your portfolio website that you can add to your resume, LinkedIn, and a bunch of other places. I wasn't able to cover deployment in this video because it's already so long, but I will include a tutorial in my description teaching you how to do this. This tutorial will show you how to deploy your website using something known as GitHub Pages. It is completely free. You can do it in less than 10 minutes. All you need to do is upload your project files to GitHub, go to settings, and enable something called GitHub Pages. And you should see your website appear with a unique link like the one I have over here. The second homework task is to share your portfolio website. Just share with people you already know, like your friends and your family members. This can go such a long way. When I was first starting out, I sent my dad a link to my portfolio website. He shared it with his friend. That guy was a recruiter and I ended up getting hired. So just sharing with people you already know can dramatically improve your chances of getting new opportunities. And of course, add a link to your portfolio website to LinkedIn and other social media platforms. You can always send it to me or tag me in it. I would love to see it. The goal here is to drive as much traffic as possible to your portfolio website because the more views you get, the higher your chances of the right person seeing it. And then the more likely it is for you to land a job or an opportunity. Your third homework task is SEO optimization. Now, this is optional, so only do this if you have the time. Deploying your website and sharing it with other people is good enough, and it will take you such a long way. And I bet you 90% of the people watching this video will not do even that. But if you're part of the 10% and you want to optimize your website further and get even more views, then I recommend looking into SEO strategies. SEO stands for Search Engine Optimization. This helps your website rank higher on Google. For example, if someone searches for sentiment analysis, data science on Google, and your project or portfolio is on the first page of Google, it's very likely that they'll find your work, read about it, and potentially even get in touch with you and hire you. And it's not too difficult to optimize a website for SEO. You can even go to ChatGPT and ask it to generate SEO-friendly titles and descriptions for your portfolio website, and it will do so in seconds. That is all for this video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that you've managed to build a nice looking portfolio website to showcase all of your work. If you found this video valuable, please do like it and subscribe to my channel, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!